Yo, what's good YouTube, man? It's Gary with the Fan TV, man. Back at another video. At the content of this video, go smash that like button. Like the content of this channel, go ahead and subscribe, man. Look, so as we get started off with more things happening, more news coming out, right? Franchise tag deadline pass, Ravens tag, Justin BK, things like that. We also want to get more rumors coming out, right? So as the new league year approaches, so something that I saw today was that once again, for like the second, maybe even third year in a row, the Broncos have made, or reportedly have made, Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy available for trade, right? And in my opinion, Courtland Sutton is the guy that the Ravens should be targeting and the guy that they should go after, all right? Now, first reason right here, right, is that the Ravens, according to multiple sources, right, there's articles you can look up and things like that. I'll put a little screenshot up here. The Ravens had a trade in place for Courtland Sutton last year that fell apart at the last moment, right? All right, so that's reason number one right there. It's a player that they obviously like, a player they obviously admire, a contract that they'd be willing to take on, right? And a player that can help the Ravens, right? This is before, they went on and turned their sights to OBJ, right? So Courtland Sutton was on track to theoretically be a Baltimore Raven before it fell through, okay? So that's number one. You already like the player, all right? Now, let's talk about him. So, 28 years old. He'll turn 29 maybe a month into the season. I think his birthday's in October, right? So, 28, 29 years old, 2 years left on the contract, right? And this is why, and more it makes sense for the Ravens, right? So, this is his cap hit for 2024, 2025, his last 2 years on the deal. 17.3, 17.8, then 2026 he'll be a free agent, okay? So, the Ravens will have him for his 29 and 30 year seasons, right? All right. For me, those are good numbers. 17 million a year for a guy that you could probably say is in that second tier wide receivers. You got to think about what the top wide receivers are making now. They're making 25. Justin Jefferson is going to make $35 million, right? So you get a guy that can make 17 and still be productive and still add a piece to the offense that the Ravens really haven't had. I'll be all for it, right? So and even going on even more, it fits the Ravens' timeline of the kind of guys they like to pick up, right? One, the Ravens are in win now mode, right? Courtland is in the part of his career where he wants to win right now, right? Who knows how many years he has left in the tank, right? Also, the Ravens like to get these guys that aren't on huge deals, right? Usually, the Ravens get you on their third contract, right? Courtland Sutton, this is his second contract, but it's already been paid. The Ravens don't have to negotiate it. And after 2 years, they don't want to renegotiate with Courtland Sutton. He just kind of moves on to the next team, right? So for me, that's why it makes sense. You get 2 years, pretty much $35 million contract for Courtland Sutton on a team that needs, and that the Ravens fans have been clamoring for, a big body wide receiver that can make plays, make contested catches when maybe all the smooth stuff isn't happening so well, right? And I don't want to make it seem like that's all Courtland Sutton can do, right? He is a good route runner. He has good hands. He's not just simply, okay, look, he's going to run in a straight line and throw it up when you get a chance, right? He has more to his game than that, all right? So he can help the Ravens all around. And also, I think that if you trade for Courtland Sutton right now, it also frees you up for the draft, right? Now, we talked about this before. There are a lot of talented offensive players in this draft, particularly wide receivers and particularly offensive tackle, right? The Ravens need help at both spots, really, okay? So if you were to trade for Courtland Sutton, get Courtland Sutton here on the roster, now for me at pick number 30, you can go offensive tackle and be fine, and then you could still get a wide receiver in the second round, right? Because in my idea, the Broncos want to get rid of, say the Broncos want to get rid of Courtland Sutton. The whole league knows it. They kind of losing leverage right there, all right? Courtland Sutton is I don't say an Asian player, but he's 29. He's gonna be 29 years old starting next season, okay? You could probably get Courtland Sutton for a third round pick, right? I would assume maybe third and the fifth, or maybe it's a third round pick straight up, right? That's what I would assume we would have to take to get Courtland Sutton. And if that is it, I'm sending that through all day long, no second hesitation about it, right? So you get that third round pick, send it in for Courtland Sutton. Your first round pick could be an offensive tackle, whether it's Tyler Guyton, Marius Mims, he's kind of shooting up the draft charts, but it's a lot of guys that can go right there. And now you have your right tackle, and then in the second round you can get another wide receiver. Okay, it's a talented, deep class. Would you like to have one of the very, very top guys? Of course. I would, right? But at the end of the day, the Ravens have serious needs at offensive line. especially the tackle spots, but particularly right tackle, right? Morgan Moses, I just saw the Ravens gave him a birthday shout out a couple days ago. He just turned 33 years old, right? 33 years old, not a great pass blocker. The Ravens need to get younger and more athletic at right tackle, okay? That has to happen. So for me, you draft a tackle at 30. If you make this trade, draft a tackle at 30, get your wide receiver in the second round, and you're still getting a good player. And now when you have this wide receiver room, you have Zay Flowers, Courtland Sutton, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, and a rookie, right? So now that rookie that you drafted in the second round, he doesn't have the pressure of you have to be an immediate contributor. He could be a guy that can learn, develop, learn from the vets, learn from the other guys here, and you could still have Bateman have a good year, Courtland Sutton have a good year, and Zay Flowers continue on the path that he was on last season. I think that scenario is a scenario for the Ravens that it kind of fits together and works all the way around, no matter how you really look at it, right? So, if that was me, I'm making the trade. If he is truly available from the Broncos, I think that a lot of teams are going to be after Courtland Sutton. I think that he's a valuable player. And also, right, we got to talk about one of the big things with Courtland Sutton is he plays games, right? When we talked about Michael Thomas, right, the big pushback was obviously Michael Thomas has not been healthy for the last 3 seasons or so, right? And I completely agree with that, right? So you don't want to pay a guy money who's going to end up being on IR, being on the bench, right? Understandable. Courtland Sutton, 2021, 17 games. 2022, 15 games. Last season, 2023, 16 games. So in the last 3 years, he has missed a total of 3 games. Okay? So that's consistency, that's dependability. And if you watched it last year, right, this Broncos offense wasn't good as a whole. They got off to a little bit of a slower start. But if you watch that second half, back half of the year, him and Russell Wilson got cooking, and Courtland Sutton was making some amazing catches, right? Didn't matter who was on toe tabs, going on top of defenders. It didn't matter, right? He's the kind of guy that can really bail your quarterback out if all else fails. And he did that multiple times last season for Russell Wilson, right? So I like this trade all around. I think it's a great move for the Ravens. I think it's the ideal target, the kind of guy the Ravens should be looking to bring in here, right? I know Ravens fans had hopes for maybe a different receiver, guys like that. I understand that completely, but I don't see, unless the Ravens are paying one of their own guys, say, Zay Flowers in a couple years, right? He ends up being that top level guy. They Ravens want to pay him $25 million a year, $30 million a year. If he deserves it, he deserves it. I have no issue with it. I don't see the Ravens going outside of the franchise to pay that kind of guy that kind of money, right? I just don't see that happening. So if you can get Courtland Sutton, 2-year deal, $17 million cap hit for the next 2 years, I'm taking it all day long, right? And the Ravens have ways where they can get under the cap, make these things, restructures, pay cuts, guys like Ronnie Stanley, they can restructure other contracts. They have ways where they can get under the cap and make this kind of deal a real possibility, right? So when I saw the fact that Courtland Sutton was reportedly available again, my first thought was the Ravens got to try to go get him, right? You already wanted him previously. You almost had him. He fits the timeline for you when you want to win a championship, and he fits the timeline for the contract, right? The kind of contract the Ravens are comfortable giving out. Think about it, right? The Ravens gave Odell Beckham last year $15 million with the incentive to take it up to 18, right? So you give Odell Beckham $15 million base salary, all right? And he didn't have a great year. He started off slow. I like what Odell did, but it wasn't the season that he expected to have for himself, right? So if you're willing to pay Odell Beckham $15 million, you have to be, in my mind, be willing to give Courtland Sutton $17 million a year, right? So if I look at it like that, I like the move. I know the Ravens want to make moves possibly at running back and things like that, but if I look at and compare the running back need to wide receiver and Courtland Sutton versus, the guys that are available, I might prefer Courtland Sutton, right? So that's just my opinion on it. I know you guys may have other things because for me, my top running back is Saquon Barkley, and I don't think the Ravens are going to shell out the money to get a Saquon Barkley. So if you go below that, you guys, we talk about Derrick Henry a lot, DeAndre Swift, guys like that, right? So I think the Ravens can make a move and get Courtland Sutton. If they can, I'll be 100% on it. I think it's only going to take a third, fourth round pick. It's not going to take a second. It's definitely not going to take a first. So the Ravens can definitely make this kind of move happen. So that's my thoughts on it, man. Give me your guys' thoughts on it. And always, it's Gabriel on the Fan TV. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.